Hey everybody, this is Derek, and welcome to Ludia Presents, where we will take a look at the latest and greatest innovations as it relates to Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and artificial intelligence. One of the key items you hear often, specifically from a Microsoft perspective, is this concept of Copilot. And Copilot is really the concept of bringing artificial intelligence into your everyday application. And so one of the key things that they've done with Copilot recently is they've brought it into model-driven apps. Now, imagine being able to, if you're like a real estate company, being able to very quickly through Copilot find out how many property listings you have. What's the average retail price of the properties that you currently have listed? How many properties do you have listed in a specific geographic region? These are all things that are now available to us through the Copilot capabilities in model-driven applications. So the first thing you're going to have to do is enable the functionality in your chosen environment. Now keep in mind this is still technically preview functionality, so this may change a little bit as the product matures, but the easiest way to do that is to go to your Power Platform Admin Center, and once you're in your Power Platform Admin Center, just click Environments, identify the environment that you want to use. So in this case, I'm going to use one that I use for training functionality. And then I'm going to go ahead and once that environment loads, I'm going to go into settings, and then underneath product, the first thing I want to look at is behavior. And so in order for this to be able to work, you need to make sure that the model-driven app release channel is set to monthly. That way you'll ensure that any new user features are pushed out monthly and you will always have the latest and greatest. This is a requirement. You will not be able to enable the model-driven functionality or Copilot functionality unless you have this particular element set to monthly. Once this is set to monthly, back under product, if we go into features, you will see an option in here that allows us to go ahead and turn on Copilot functionality for model-driven applications. Now, it also tells you right in here if you want to do model-driven applications that you need to basically have that set up to be your monthly release channel. Now, we've done that, so we're just going to go ahead and set that to on, and then we're going to go ahead and hit save. Once this is saved, we're now ready to go ahead and start actually configuring our system to allow this functionality. Once you have it enabled in the environment, the next thing you have to do is configure your tables and your columns to facilitate the elements that you want Copilot to be able to leverage when searching for data. It's just like anything. It's not going to know what to do until you tell it what to do. So for example, if you want it to be able to go out and look at the listing price for available real estate properties to identify what the average listing price is, it needs to know that listing price is a field or is a column that we want to take into consideration. So there's kind of a two-part process to this. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go into tables and you're going to identify what specific tables you want to use. Now, we had talked about this being a real estate solution and a real estate element. So I'm going to go ahead and look for a table that we've created here called real estate. So I'll do a quick search for my real estate and I'll see a real estate property table. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select the real estate property and open that up. And now I have the ability to go ahead and start modifying information. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to make sure that the table is enabled and has the necessary properties. So we're going to go ahead and click on properties, and this is going to open up our properties window, and we're going to hit advanced options and scroll down towards the bottom. So there's two key areas that we want to make sure that we want to facilitate. The first one is we want to make sure that track changes has been enabled. Now in this case, I've used this table before. This is a custom table, so track changes is already been turned on, and once it's turned on, you can't turn it off. If you have any like system tables, like accounts, contacts, it's very likely that the track changes will also be enabled from there. But then the other thing that we have to make sure, because technically we are searching with the Copilot functionality, is we have to make sure that this appear in search results is also facilitated. So we're going to go ahead and hit save on appear in search results. Now we've enabled our table to be able to go ahead and start working with and utilizing Copilot. Now at the same point, we still don't necessarily know what fields we want to take into consideration as we're searching for those. So the way that we're going to identify those is by coming over here under data experiences and going to views. And now once we're in views, we'll see all of the different views that are associated with this particular table. Now, one item that you will oftentimes see is what is referred to as this quick find view. So you'll see this for any view that or any table that you're working with. The quick find view is what is used by Dynamics or by model-driven different applications to locate data in a singular table. And I'll show you examples of what Quick Find actually does in a real world scenario here once we're done. But this will be available for most of the different elements that you're working with. Now, there's two key components to a Quick Find view. There's the view itself, so there's what information is actually being presented to you. That's more if you're using it for like I quickly want to find a record situation. Then there's the find column. The find columns help you identify the records that you want to work with. Now, that's important not only from a quick find perspective where you're trying to locate records within that singular view, but that's also very important when we start talking about identifying records from a Copilot perspective. If I'm having Copilot want to query and do stuff on the asking price, the lot size, the listing price, those types of things, I have to make sure that I've defined that. So you'll notice that there's two different types of areas here. There's like a sorting area, a filter area, but down at the bottom, there's a find table columns. This is where you will have to go in and identify what specific columns you want to work with. So if I'm trying to, look at listing prices or asking prices, bedrooms, bathrooms, what city this particular item is located in, maybe I want to see how many properties we have for a specific customer. I could add customer into that. Maybe I want to looking at, when things were last inspected, listing dates, anything that would be important to you. You want to go ahead and select each one of these items. So in this case, I've pre-selected quite a few. Now I could go ahead and hit apply. Now, because this is my standard view, I would then want to be able to go ahead and hit save and publish to save and publish the changes. Now, while this is saving and publishing, think about what you might want to be doing from the application that you're working with. Again, this is a real estate application. So from a real estate application, not only are we concerned about properties, but we'd also be concerned maybe about open houses, showings, offers that have come in. If these are tables that exist in the application and we want to be able to reference that information as part of those options, we would also go through this exact same process as far as enabling that functionality on like the offers table or the showings table or any of the tables that we have that necessary information associated with. Now that we have everything set up and configured, let's examine what this might look like inside a model-driven application. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to real estate properties. And you remember we were talking about setting up the find columns and modifying the different elements for the quick find view. That's really what we're talking about if you ever want to locate information using this option here. So for example, if I quickly want to be able to see how many properties we have in Moorhead, I can do a quick little search. It'll show me how many individual items we have in Moorhead, and that'll now be listed. That's really what the quick find view allows us to be able to work with. Now, we use the quick find view not only to be able to do these individual scenarios, but to also work with Copilot. So as I'm inside the application, if I go ahead and examine or click on Copilot, this is going to pop up the Copilot UI. And so it's going to allow me to go ahead and ask any type of questions that I want. So for example, I might come into here and say, what is the average price of the properties that we have listed? Copilot's going to go ahead and search through my entire database to identify what those individual situations are. Now, what's nice about this is think about how difficult that would be in the past. Being able to go out and have the system search through these different elements to really identify what these things are. You maybe had to bring it into or export it into an Excel spreadsheet. Now, just like anything, being that this is AI generated data, it's going to ask you whether or not it's correct or not. This gives you the opportunity to train the system so it starts to be able to identify, what's going on with this in those individual areas. Now, in this case, I'm not necessarily going to submit a bunch of feedback to that, but I can go ahead and work with it from there. Now, I might come in and I might say something like, how many 5-bedroom homes do we have listed? And it comes back with showcasing you how many 5-bedroom homes we have listed. And you can see if you verify versus the information that we have, that is indeed how many we have listed. But what's nice about this is think about the flexibility that you have across all different areas of your application. Not only might you have some of the individual Copilot features that ship with some of the individual products, but now we have the ability to really leverage all of these individual Copilot features across my application. It allows anybody who's working in these applications to be much more productive. Now they can quickly obtain answers based upon those items, and they can now use that information to more effectively service and deliver information to people working across the board. So as you can see, being able to leverage Copilot on any table inside a model-driven application is only going to help to increase the overall productivity of individuals within your organization. Well, I hope you enjoyed our look at the upcoming feature. For all of us here at Ludia, this is Derek saying thank you for watching, everybody. Take care and have a good one.